know we make things shake. You know I gets that money,
all day.
that cake, I gets that bread. You know we make things shake. You know I gets that money, that cake, I gets that bread.
I'm back in the building.
You know I get that money.
Put a little dirty South swag up in here. You know what it is.
Intimacy in multiple ways. So there is the sexual intimacy, there is the emotional intimacy, there is the physical intimacy that doesn't have anything to do with sex. It has to do with being a certain way in each other's physical presence, where there is an exchange of energy. And a lot of men feel neglected in the sexual intimacy space, while a lot of women feel neglected in the emotional and a lot of times physical intimacy space. And we're gonna talk about it. But I like that you recognize that, like, just because my stepmom was nice and cooked and cleaned or kept house, so to speak, it doesn't mean that these were the full workings of what she needed to maintain a healthy relationship. Who else? Where did you get your beliefs or your understanding on how to behave in a relationship?
I would say how I got it was kind of backwards. I never really had anyone in my family have a relationship. I think where it got modeled was the relationship that I had with my mom, on top with like the way my mom spoke about my father. My father also was in relationships, and I never witnessed like any like abuse firsthand, but I know that he would cheat, and I wasn't necessarily a witness of it, but like some of his girlfriends would come to me and stuff and like tell me that he was cheating and stuff. So I got that experience, but I mainly got like just like the model of relationships, I guess, like I said, like the one that I have with my mom.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you this, right? Because I like what you're saying. The understanding is, if you grew up your entire childhood and you saw no actual loving relationships, it gives you a belief that I'm fine without them. I'm okay without them. Like, companionship is not that important in life because, of course, I was raised and I grew up where I didn't see it as something of importance. So do you see how either way you're still being shown something that will program you about relationships?
Exactly.
And a lot of people, this is why when we talk about the cycle of like being raised by a single parent, right? You model what you've been conditioned or made comfortable with. What you feel comfortable with is what makes you feel safe. It's what you're familiar with. So it's what you continuously go back to. So for a lot of people that were raised by like a single parent, they grow up and the belief of a relationship being valuable or having a family unit being valuable with more than one gender involved is not something that you could get them to see as important. Who else? Where did you get your behavior from when it comes to relationships? Who are you mimicking? Who are you modeling? Who are you repeating, the behavior or the beliefs from?
Well, my family, everyone's married, and it's just the women are like basically the men in the household. Like they do everything. If the man slack, they pick up for their slack. And they be together for years. Like my auntie, my mom, we basically women, all women, and their husband they're slackers, and my auntie they pick up the slack. My mom pick up the slack. Wherever they slack at, my mom and my auntie, they pick up the slack. So that's what I know.
Got you. So it teaches you what you're describing. It teaches you to date down or to accept the role because it's familiar that you may not actually understand to be productive or, something that matches with what you want for yourself. Now, let me ask you this. How did you know that the men weren't fulfilling their end of the relationship? Who told you that? What did you see? What did you hear?
Well, I always see like basically the women. Well, how would I put this? My auntie, she like her they would give each other bills. This will be your bill. This will be your bill. This will be your bill. Is probably out of that month or that year, he probably paid that bill like 3 or 4 times, and then she has to pick up the slack.
Okay.
Or it'll be something that needs to be done for like a household, and it's always the women making sure that it's done.
Okay.
I never seen a man be like, I got everything, until I met my kid's dad, my kid's father's dad. You get it? Like, I never seen it in my family.
Yep. Where
the man is like, I'm gonna do this. You sit down. You don't gotta do this. I got this.
Mm-hmm.
I got this family. Mm-hmm. I never seen that until I seen my kid's dad do it for his household.
Tell me how it felt. How was it hard for you to process or accept that or get comfortable with that? Tell me what you described about what you saw. What did it do to you in relationships as an adult? Like when you got around a man that wanted to handle everything, was it easy for you or harder? Is it something that, have you been told by the guys that you date that you're easygoing when it comes to allowing them to lead? Or is it something where you kind of feel anxiety if you're not taking care of things yourself?
I would say I want it, but it's kind of hard because I'm not used to it.
Mm-hmm. What would, so if I talk to your kid's dad or one of your exes, what would they say about you in this category? If I say, hey, does she allow you to lead? Does she let you handle stuff? Does she have a level of patience with you as a man to take care of stuff? Or is she more just trying to get things done?
I think they'll say that I'm more of a leader. Like, I try to lead. I try to take over everything. I want it done my way.
Do you recognize how the cycle continues when you don't confront these things?
Yeah.
The point I'm making is, and y'all have to really receive this, male or female, what you were shown in your early years of understanding people in relationships, it shows up in you as an adult. The idea is, by nature, for us as women, naturally, without being influenced by anything, there are certain things that are of us. So, for example, being a woman, being nurturing, being soft, being pleasant, being kind, being patient. This goes along with being a woman, and it will come out of you naturally had we not been conditioned any other way. And for men, the idea of leading and protecting and providing, it will come out of you naturally had you not been conditioned or programmed any other way. So if you're a woman and you're struggling with femininity and, setting up a household or a family unit where you live in this comfortable feminine role, there are some things you need to confront. There is no reason that allowing a guy to lead, allowing a masculine figure to come in and take on a rightful role should be a struggle or something that someone's have to fight with you over. And the same for men. It shouldn't be where a woman gets with you and there is this battle or some sort of severe push to get you to take the lead role in making sure important things are taken care of in the realm of protecting, providing, and being there as the masculine figure. Do y'all understand what I'm explaining? You got to own where you got your shit from.
Can I interject?
Go ahead.
So, about the woman who came before me who was talking. I would say for me, it's difficult. Like, just releasing control.
Come on. Ooh, come on.
Releasing my control, because when I had to basically be independent because I'm really just starting over. I'm by myself. I'm 27 years old. I'm by myself. Everybody in my family, it's like blind leading the blind, and I'm just now seeing it. It's totally new to me, and I'm just looking at it like, what the world? You know what I mean? So for her to say that, it really brings me, because I see my mom, she's trying to remarry, and she's taking slack for him, you know what I mean, far as bills and bringing chemical, cleaning chemicals in. And then I see relationships with my cousins and my male cousins, and how they're abusive. And I just, honestly, I'd be doing better by myself.
That's what, so I'm going to tell you something, right? I'm going to back up, right? When you started out, similar to the woman that was talking before you, right? We fucked ourselves up on relationships because we came out fresh at 19, 20, 18, 21, 22, dating with the wrong mentality. You got to just own that shit. I came out the gate with the wrong mentality based on what I was shown. Not based on me deciding that I want to be this way, but my generational curses, my examples of what I was shown from relationships that were in front of me, what I'm modeling based on my beliefs, what I saw repetitively growing up, whether I wanted it to or not. It affects my mindset, my beliefs, my thinking, my attitude, my ways, my decisions, my choices in relationships. And when you get into things like what I study, like when you look at psychology and statistics and certain things like that, you realize the average person doesn't want to accept facts, right? And what I mean by that is if you were exposed to abuse, you're more likely to be attracted to abuse or abusive relationships. If you were exposed heavy to cheating, you're more likely to be familiar and comfortable with these kind of things going on. Somebody mentioned drama. If you grew up where your mother or father kept up a lot of drama and toxic shit going on, your subconscious mind is already familiar with that. What you're familiar with feels safe because you already know what to expect and how to handle it is what your mind is telling you, even when you know it's not good for you. So what we have to own is where we got our shit from. So for a lot of y'all that feel like you're rebuilding in regards to relationships and that you're better off alone as opposed to being in a relationship, you got to understand, I need to go back and actually confront my traumas and my programming. I need to own the fact that I don't know the correct way to do relationships, because when I look back at what I was taught about relationships, like somebody just said, it's the blind leading the motherfucking blind. When you look around, the majority of us can't look within our families and find a happy married or monogamous or a couple that's doing poly and they all happy. Meaning we're all in agreement and this is something that we are good with. And when you don't have that, you have to admit, I have to go outside of the people I'm familiar with and get uncomfortable in order to get new information on how to operate. It goes against our biology to run alone. It is not of the human species to run alone. When you tell yourself that you're purposely trying to be alone or you can do better by yourself, all you're going to do is attach to other things that you aren't supposed to attach to in an unhealthy way. So, for example, most females that have children, when they say they better off by themselves, they turn around and then they fuck their kids up because they develop a unhealthy codependency bond with their children. They make their children feel the void for the lack of companionship from another adult. And this is something that you really got to process and understand. If I'm telling myself I don't need adult companionship and adult relationship, my adult needs fulfilled, my natural instincts to be in a group or a family unit with some sort of partner or partners, right? From a healthy space, something is going on with me, male or female, mental health wise, because this goes against our biology. There are, and I say this all the time, there are species of animals or, living organisms, if you will, that it is in their biology to separate, right? So, for example, when you see sea turtles, they come on the beach, they have their babies, and they gone. And the babies are left to fend for themselves to make it back to the water. So some of the motherfuckers get ate by birds or seagulls, whatever, on their way back to the water. Whatever makes it to the water. There is no mother figure there guiding the fucking sea turtles back to the water, making sure that birds and shit aren't eating them. That species is wired differently than, for example, for us. We don't have our babies and leave them somewhere and watch them fend for themselves. Do y'all understand what I'm explaining? Meaning we are wired to operate in groups. What that means is in your biology, in your scientific makeup, there is shit that requires fucking socialization with other human beings. It's a reason why children need parents when they're small. They not like fucking turtles or other animals where you birth them, kick them out, and they're supposed to just find their way in life. That's not how our species works. So when you tell yourself, better off by myself, well, I'm going to just say fuck relationships. It's just going to be me and my kids. All you're going to do is create more mental health issues in the fucking people around you along with yourself. Does anybody have any questions on that? I don't give a fuck what you feel. This is science. There is opinion that we'll talk about with some of this shit. And then there is stuff that I say that is fact. And if you argue with a fact, you might as well exit yourself out this motherfucking Zoom because a lot of this shit ain't going to make sense. Anybody got any questions on what I'm explaining about how human beings are wired? When you're online, when you're out in your community, when you're talking to family members, people that tell themselves, I purposely want to be alone. I don't want to interact with other human beings. I don't want social relationships or companionship. Things are wrong with their mental health. I say this often. This is the reason why when you look at prisons and things like that, when they put people in isolation, what happens?
They go crazy.
Yes. And it happens naturally. It's not because somebody does some magic foo-foo on them and says, poof, go crazy. If you take a human being and you put them in a room by themselves and you leave them there and you just slide food under the door and no companionship, no conversation, after a while, they will start to talk to themselves. After a while, they will go more inward. After a while, their mind will start to do things that is not healthy, and it will happen naturally. It's not normal. And I'm saying this with so much emphasis because I want for people to get this. I want for younger adults to understand when you see older people talking about not wanting companionship, they're fucked up. They're not somebody to follow. That's not somebody to listen to. That's not how our species is wired. That is not healthy for your mind. When the mind is gone, you're gone. I don't give a fuck how your physical looks. Anybody got any questions on that?
Yeah, I just was going to say, like, I do want a relationship, but, like, you know, just everything that you've seen growing up or, you know, you see people in relationships, it's not really working. It's like, well, dang, I don't really want that. And then when you do meet somebody, it's, I don't know if it's the subconscious, you just always think, like, nah, that ain't right. This ain't right. You know, kind of like not even want to be, like, you want somebody, but you really don't want to be bothered with the games and stuff.
Yep, and I'm going to tell you something, right? Because I like what you're saying. I want y'all to understand, we as people have to be accountable. What I mean by that is, we will know that in my last 2-3 relationships, there was poor communication. How many of y'all understand that in previous relationships, I or we both sucked at healthy communication as adults?
I did.
I did.
Sure, I agree.
How many of y'all realized in your past relationships, both or just you or just the other person sucked at management of emotions?
I definitely suck.
Yeah, that's why I'm here.
How many people realize in past relationships I was in and out of that relationship mentally, meaning I struggled to keep myself interested?
Yeah.
Yes.
So now just on those 3 instances alone, poor communication, management of emotions, and then struggling to keep your mind focused. How many of y'all signed up for a course, went to some sort of therapy, or rigorously started making it a thing in life to get information on how to do it right in any of those 3 areas? How many of y'all?
I did. I got there. I went to therapy.
I heard a couple of y'all.
Not rigorous.
Okay, so
I started now.
how many people say I do? I think I heard 3. I did.
I did.
Yeah,
Okay.
I started listening to you.
I did.
Okay, before I'm asking before me. Before y'all saw me.
No.
So
I went to therapy.
A little, yes. A little.
okay, so one person
Came out, ain't nobody want to talk about this.
okay,
So how
and
we
thank
know
you.
something was wrong?
Thank you. But and I'm glad you said that, right? She said, before I came out, wasn't nobody talking about this shit. So now let me explain something to y'all, right? The information to be a better communicator, the information to get relationship counseling or counseling on how to operate maturely in a relationship, the information on management of emotions or how to look at what's going on with you emotionally, the information on how to focus yourself, it is out here, right? And I'm sure without knowing it the way that Love Dorsey describes it, like y'all said, you knew that, damn, me and old boy broke up or me and your girl broke up, and bitch, we used to be arguing. Our communication was not good, right? You might can't break it down like I can, but you knew your communication was off. What I'm trying to show y'all is people be knowing they be fucked up. Y'all be knowing y'all ain't know how to motherfucking communicate. You don't know how to manage your emotions. You knew this shit before you met me, and your ass didn't care nothing about going to get no real information. Part of it is generational curses, because nobody around you in your family was actually valuing getting some sort of help. Some of y'all might have even got talked out of the help, but you knew some shit was off. And what you did is the same shit most of the people doing on the internet. They pretend as though they weren't the problem. They don't need no help. I'ma just be by myself. I'm better off alone. I ain't got time for these niggas. I ain't got time for these bitches. It's them. It's that. They don't want to admit, I don't know how to do better. I don't know how to attract better. I don't know how to not date down. I don't know how to get in a relationship and not scream and yell and act aggressive as a woman, like when I'm upset with my partner. I don't know how to do that. A lot of men, like somebody described, I don't know how to be in a situation and not go cheat when I get mentally unfocused on the I don't know how to not do that. And I ain't never went and seen about myself mentally as to why I struggle with doing that. And when I look at my family members, they fucked up with this. It's the blind leading the motherfucking blind. And I'm knowing they blind because when I look at my mama, she can't keep a motherfucking healthy relationship with a man. And when I look at my daddy, everybody got something negative to say. And I don't see him doing relationships in a healthy way. And we never think to say, okay, you know what? Let me just go get uncomfortable. Let me get away from what's familiar to me and go get around some shit that looks different than what I'm used to seeing and accept that that might be better for me than the stuff I've been sitting around. Do y'all see where the accountability is being missed?
Yes,
I see for sure.
everybody
Can I speak?
Well, go ahead.
My family told me don't even worry about it. I ain't nothing wrong with me. And I just don't believe it.
Generational curses. And I'm going to tell you something. Just to what you're saying, Stacey, in the African American community, we deal with, as black women, we deal with being raised by a lot of narcissistic mothers that they attach to us. Watch this. They attach to us in a unhealthy way. There is an unhealthy codependency bond because they couldn't keep consistent, healthy companionship. And remember, human beings are wired to want companionship, right? So when your mama couldn't keep a man, she clung to y'all as children, bossed you around, was overly controlling and narcissistic with y'all as children because you filled a void within her that was there from not having adult companionship that she was supposed to have. There are a lot of us, our mother never got over what happened in the relationship with our father. So there was a lot of toxic shit. There is jealousy amongst a lot of adult grown black women that have adult grown black daughters, right? And the relationships are fucked up to where when we ask them for advice or when they see us doing better than what they're doing, it becomes some sort of weird manipulation tactic to keep us doing no better than what they did because they feel sorry for themselves that they didn't get the growth or the opportunities that we have. And don't let me get started on the men that are being raised by women that are in that space where they cling to their children in an unhealthy way. And then the guys grow up operating like their mother is their woman. The mother treats the boy like he's her man because she can't keep a man. And you got to understand, adults by nature are wired to want healthy adult companionship. And when you don't have that, right, you will find something else to fill that void that doesn't go in that space, and it will fuck you up. A lot of y'all got to realize the way that you are starts out from generational curses, and it gets uncomfortable having to sit down and confront yourself and be real that your old girl or your daddy did not teach you the appropriate way. That they probably did a lot of toxic shit in regards to mental manipulation and control with you. That you were a pawn in their game plan to make themselves feel better about the life that became from their choices that they probably did not want. This is why when I talk about co-parenting, you will never get me to discuss co-parenting with somebody without going back to the situation in which the child was born. Because we love to skip forward and say that, oh, my baby mama doing this, or my baby daddy is a deadbeat. But when we go all the way back to when the decision was made to have the child, a good 75 to 80% of the children being born in the past 4 decades, they being born by one person making the decision to have the child and then place the responsibility of living up to their standards on the other person when there wasn't even a mature relationship going on before the child was born. Somebody else wanted to say something. Who was it?
I do.
Go ahead.
I'm 41. With my family, I learned to date anyone that's convenient. Like, if they can do something like
easy,
or
the low-hanging fruit.
Yes. And that's I'm trying to get out of that. So it's like, if they can do this, okay. It's like, as long as they don't cheat on me and they can help me with this around the house, I don't care. And they don't know how to love. And that's why I have problems with relationships, because guys, they see that I'm not really loving them. They're just there for convenience.
Easy. You're going for what's easy and what's comfortable. Who else?
Well, I was just saying, like you were saying that you know something's wrong, like, or whatever. But in my situation, like almost everybody that I was around, like, was doing the same thing, so it looks normal.
Yeah.
And then, like, if you do see something else that's different, that seems better, like, they'll be like, oh, they don't act like that for real. They just, like, acting like they're around somebody.
Yep.
So that's what I was thinking. Okay, well, they acting like they get along and they got a good relationship, it's only because they're around somebody. Like, when they get home, it's something different. So that's how it's so.
That's Jessica. That's the generational curses, the being a product of your environment that you've heard people talk about on certain platforms. That's all that is. But the idea is, when you're in it, even though we all doing it, it still feels weird. It still feels unhappy. It still feels draining. It still feels like it's going against your mental health. All of y'all getting, if you take 5 or 6 women in your family and all of y'all in abusive relationships or mentally abusive relationships, or you're being aggressive or abusive in the relationship, it's fine that it looks familiar because when you look around, everybody doing it. But the reason that you want more for yourself is because it is not nurturing of your mind, body, heart, and soul. It's not. Everybody knows that people aren't perfect and relationships aren't going to be perfect, but they're not supposed to feel like an ongoing fucking chore.
Yeah. Can I add?
Go ahead.
I want to add to what I believe it was what Ryan was saying, how picking men, like, or having more of a transactional relationship. I think that kind of fucked my head up with my last relationship, and it wasn't even really about my family. My family never really preached that. My mom never really preached that, but I think a lot of women now these days,
that's all they talk about.
Like, right now, they talking about is like, if a man's not giving you like $1,000 on first date, like, he's ain't shit. And like, that kind of got to my head, and I think that's a lot of the rhetoric right now. And it's mainly being a transactional relationship instead of aside from like a man like actually providing from you. Is different when you just in it for how much can someone pay you, almost like an allowance, instead of someone like taking care and providing in a certain way. And that definitely fucked my head up.
Yep.
My last relationship.
Yep.
But it don't make sense. Like,
go ahead.
If somebody just to talk to you, they gotta support you. Like, that really never makes sense to me.
We measure several examples of future.
I definitely understand what y'all saying, and we're gonna talk about it. You have to be fully conscious or in present time about what's happening this day and age for you to not buy into the bullshit. Because that's really what it is. We, by nature, and I'm gonna stress this, we are wired for companionship. So rather a nigga buying you something or not, rather a bitch giving you something or not, your natural instincts is going to want to mate. It's going to want to coexist. It's going to want to talk, exchange energies, exchange physical contact with another person of your species. This is going to be a natural urge. This is why when you understand, for example, healthy parenting, when your children, some earlier than others, reach the age of about 11 up till about 16, their bodies are going through natural changes that start to make them sexual. Their bodies develop, their hormones change, male or female, and they get natural urges. It is natural. So someone should be explaining this and helping teach us how to manage ourselves and develop a sense of personal identity as we go through these things. But that's not what happens in a lot of our communities. We get told you're being grown, you're being fast, you're smelling yourself.
Right.
There's no conversations that go on. You throwing the fucking lotion or Vaseline down when your mama busting in the room, when you end up jacking off or playing with yourself. No one's actually talking to you about how this is actually natural. Yet, when we look at things like dogs and you see that your dog was not doing this months before, but now it's walking around humping on everything. The dog didn't wake up and tell itself, I'm going to now hump the teddy bears and the chair legs and the table legs and my owner's leg. And it didn't tell itself that. It's happening natural. With animals, we call it in heat. It's the same for humans. But like retards, when we're raising children, we pretend as though this is some sort of shameful activity and we don't educate. So then watch this. You mix that. Nobody's educating me on what's happening with me. So I'm going through my hormonal changes mixed with watching y'all do this relationship shit wrong. So then I start getting into what I believe are relationships, but really it's just me giving my body away or experimenting too early, too uneducated. And I end up in fucked up scenarios where now for the next 3 to 5 years of my life, all my choices are centered around bullshit. Who can relate?
Definitely can relate.
Definitely me. That's my life right there.
Definitely. As a teenager, my grandma always said, once you give it up, it's a wrap. They not going to love you. They not going to like you no more. They not going to call you nothing. Keep your stuff to yourself and just...
And that makes it makes no sense.
Yes.
Just before we even get into roles of relationships or any of that, scientifically, what your grandma said was motherfucking retarded. And this is part of our problem. Because it's our dear old granny or our mama or our daddy, we don't want to accept that the bitch was motherfucking retarded when it came to that. That shit dad told us, it didn't make an inkling of sense. The stuff my mama was doing, the bitch was off her rocker when she was doing it because it did not make sense with what the fuck was actually facts. The sooner we start recognizing that, the easier it becomes to break generational curses. And this is true for finances. Most of us don't realize we have money paradigms, beliefs that are programmed in our mind already from childhood about money. And we operate that way with money based on what we were shown. We're modeling, right? The behavior of our early experiences with people, right? And we end up in a space where until we challenge the idea that what the fuck my mama, granny, daddy showed me with money was incorrect, until we accept that, you will never, ever fucking do better. Never. I don't give a fuck how bad you want more money. I don't give a damn how many times you sit and pray, how much you do them vision boards and write up and budget the fuck all you want. Until you change your mindset about the finances, them bitches will keep looking the same. And there is a lot of us that we're realizing that, like, God damn, I've been trying to do better. Fuck, I've been wanting to change. God damn, I don't want to keep spending money like this. Fuck, I can't understand how I work 2-3 jobs and the shit ain't getting no better. And then guess what? Ooh, just like relationships, when we ain't doing it right, it starts to fuck with our mind. And then you start to develop certain levels of low self-esteem, depression. You start clinging to shit or just trying to make your life look better when it's not actually better. It all starts with reprogramming your mindset. Reprogramming your mindset starts with you accepting that how you got this fucking mindset. Let me go confront where I got this from. Meaning, I ain't talking about talk to them people. I'm saying accept when you sit with yourself that I got this from this person, this situation, that situation, and it does not fit with where I want to go. Anybody got any questions on what I'm explaining?
So, Doris, let me ask you quick on that. If how do you know you're like fully like committed to accepting it? Like, cause you know how like it's like stages of grief and stuff, right?
Yep.
So if we are trying to make like change our mindset, right? There's going to be a degree of we're going to go through all of the
Different stages. Yep.
So how do you know that we're fully like committed to?
It's an easy answer. You are now accepting of new information to apply. Not new information to listen to, but new information to apply. For example, all of y'all found my page at some point. You got the people on my page that they're the ameners. They sit on my page and all they're going to do is say amen to the real shit that I'm saying. They're never going to actually go apply anything. They haven't made it there yet. There are those that they will go as far as paying for a Zoom or a one-on-one just to listen to me more and say amen a little bit more personal with me, but they will never go get active. Then there are those that they in my Zooms, they did one-on-ones, they might be in my book club, they done pulled up to my live events and these motherfuckers get active. They willing to get uncomfortable, they willing to go into new rooms with people I done recommended them to hear more new information to apply. They take a Zoom, they go apply it. When they check back in with me, shit is different. There are those that they took in my budgeted and multiple streams of income. I talk to them again, they got multiple streams of income and the motherfuckers budgeted. I'm talking to them about relationships. They don't went to therapy. They don't went to some sort of counseling. They don't went and got the books. I'm talking about they applied. They don't have certain conversations and set boundaries with their family members and shit. Stuff is getting uncomfortable. People is dropping the fuck off. They bandwagon. And they're starting to be around people that wouldn't look like they would fit with them. They doing shit like getting out into the world, into rooms where they're not the smartest person in the room, where nothing looks familiar. This is when you know, okay, I'm about that motherfucking action. Because I ain't just sitting around amening a bitch on the internet. I'm actually taking what I'm hearing, applying it to my life, seeking more information about what I've applied to grow. And when I look around, you will notice I ain't calling the same people I was calling before. I didn't stop calling people. Watch this. Because this is when you realize motherfuckers are just going into depression. They go through the stage, and this is one of the stages, Stacey. They get rid of people, right, that don't fit with them, but they don't replace the motherfuckers with nobody. Remember, I said we are wired by nature to socialize and develop healthy relationships with other human beings. Meaning, as you drop off the old motherfuckers that can't go on this new journey with you, you're going to pick up new ones that match where you're trying to go. Do y'all understand what I'm explaining?
Yes.
Yeah.
Anybody got any questions on what I'm explaining? It's important that you receive it in.
Yeah,
it is open.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So basically, I'm understanding now, like, from like the men in my family. Well, my question for you is, like, what's the best way to transition from a lone wolf to a pack? Because I'm learning that, like, during relationships, a lot of times you can build alliances with people and you can get further in life when you work with people.
Yep.
And
That's
I'm
a
trying
fact.
to really just break that lone wolf, because I feel like I'm going through more hoops and having to go through more things when people are working with people.
Yep.
And they're
You gotta have
either promotions that I could have. Anything like that. So I'm trying to like learn how to get on that.
So the first thing is, when do you need, right? But the main question, and this is especially for men, you have to ask yourself, as a man, because a lot of y'all were raised by single men into men. Men make men into men. So the question is, what do I need to grow into the man that I want to be? That's the first thing. What do I need? So let me ask you, just with where you're at right now, name at least 3 things that you know that you need that will make you more of the man that you already are. 3 things.
Really, I would say, honestly, like more stability, like, you know, saying more income, like
Get
more
specific.
income.
Okay, so Okay, so a more stable financial setting. So more streams of income. Yeah. Okay, what else? Give me 3.
Oh yeah, more stronger like companionship, like relationships, like stronger relationships with people. That definitely would be great.
So you talking about like a personal, intimate relationship?
Yeah, okay. Like, or even just friendships, like more genuine, stronger friendships that'll last more of a lifetime rather than like a season.
Okay, so if you and I were on a one-on-one, I would tell you, okay, you're saying I want to strengthen my financial literacy, and stability.
Exactly.
I want to develop resources, meaning outside of intimate companionship, I want people resources, because resources are people, places, and things that are supportive of your growth and where you're trying to go. So you want resources, and then of course you want an old girl. You want some sort of intimate companionship to fulfill your needs as a man. I want you to understand, just with those 3, you right there. Now, for each one of those individual things, he just needs to develop a plan for himself. This is what's going to turn him into a man with a purpose. So what will happen is, watch this. I will start intentionally dating. When it comes to finances, I will start educating myself in specific areas, like, for example, multiple streams of income, understanding investing, and understanding credit. Those 3 things alone will lace you up, right? Intentionally dating will lace you up, right? Because you'll get out in the dating world and you will date with the intent to genuinely get to know a woman, not to just try to fuck. Because like he said, he's per him, not me. He's looking for some sort of healthy companionship with a woman, right? And then there are the resources, meaning other people, friends, associates, co-workers that are support of me growing, right? And the idea is, for those, he just needs to develop a strategy to get himself constantly into new rooms to be able to do that. If you book the one-on-one with me, I can help you break all of this down. But I am going to go through like what the specific things are when it comes to relationships that we have to understand before we can do them right. Does anybody have anything they want to ask at this point?
Yes. I have a issue. I move too fast in relationships. Like, I lost male friends because I moved too fast, so then they started treating me differently. Like, I don't know how to have a relationship with a male. Like a friendship, I should say, with a male.
I'm gonna tell you something real. Part of that stems from, were you raised by a single mother?
Yes.
Part of that stems from control. And we don't realize it, but the idea is you're calling it moving too fast, but it's the need to control the narrative with our interaction with people. And there's a lot of people that struggle with that. It is a masculine trait. It makes it where, as a female, it runs off mature men, like men that are in a healthy, mature space, that are understanding of themselves, meaning I have a purpose and I'm a grown man. They're not going to let you or any other woman control them into something that they don't have the natural instincts to go towards or feel good about. The other thing is, men mistreat what they don't have to earn. So the other part of it is, we don't realize when we're giving away shit so easily and so freely, without ever saying this to you, men know I ain't do shit to earn this. So of course, when she tries to make me value this or control me into committing to some shit that in my eyes, it's not actually worth much, because I know as a man, the way the world works for men, things that are worth having, we have to work for.
Right.
And the things that we're easily given, especially for black men, it can't be worth much because they don't give a nigga shit. So if a bitch giving a nigga shit, sum up with this. And the men in this Zoom will tell you I'm telling the truth. It looks weird.
Yes. Yeah, I understand.
Can anybody else relate to what she's saying?
I definitely can relate. Yes, love. I if I like them, I'll start getting all like, well, what are we doing?
Yep.
I don't. You know, the sneaky linking and all that gets old. Like, so let me just cut you off, because now I don't want to seem like I'm doing too much or, you know, trying too hard. I want something else.
Yep. That's the, I want y'all
to crib like every day since like the week after we start talking.
Yep. And I want y'all to understand, they can notice that. Like, it's so obvious that, like, as soon as I started talking to her, I became like high up in her world without earning any of that. Like Anna just said, I'm literally now a part of her everyday life. Like I didn't even have to work my way in. She didn't have to schedule me in, any of that. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. You gotta understand, right? And some of y'all have heard me say this, but if we go back to the late 60s, early 70s, when this whole welfare agenda came out and it transitioned the mindset of us looking at family units as something that's not valuable. And then there was this wave of this single mother mentality where we replaced the fathers with the government as the dads, right? And we developed a certain level of patience for that, but no patience for actual companionship. It fucked us. And there are a lot of us as adults, we're in the dating pool with another grown male, and we're all victims of this fucking single mother mentality where we're stuck 16, 17 years with a woman's viewpoint, a woman that has mental health issues from lacking companionship and overly having to work herself based on being tricked to believe that getting some food stamps and some housing and a few welfare checks throughout our upbringing was enough to replace a live person as a companion to her. It was enough to say, fuck marriage, fuck the home unit, fuck, like Jay said, having a pact as a family where we work together to build our community up. Let me just get what I can get out of a nigga, and if I can't get much, I'm gonna utilize Uncle Sam as my baby daddy. And then when you look at our behavior now, this is why when it comes to co-parenting, all the women with the single mother mentalities, they believe that co-parenting is supposed to go exactly as they want it to go. They have no reality that people are allowed to be whatever type of parent they want to be, and that your standards for them is not law. But when you've been programmed in your upbringing to believe that what the woman says always goes, that's the mentality you develop. So when we're dating, and like y'all said, I'm talking to a dude I like him, and my mind decides without him being involved in this conversation that occurred in my mind. Well, I'm just saying, you need to be giving up the. It turns into all this irrational. You know how many men, like, you could literally Google what to do as far as legalities and certain shit to be able to gain control over your co-parenting situation as a man. Just being it's raising you is supposed to make you maneuver a certain way. And then the key things that single mothers try to teach their sons is not to go against her. So this is why in the co-parent, a lot of niggas going through that shit. That's just how they don't want to listen to nothing. Bro, I can't see my son. That's just what it is. Like, you know, she with a homegirl. They feel like I shouldn't get the baby, so now I can't get the baby. And it's a lot of bitch ass hoes. It comes from being raised under a capacity where you have women with these issues raising all of the children. The majority of us in this Zoom are a product of that type of household, and we fucked up. And when we sit and reflect as a conscious-minded adult, we know that our parents were fucked up. And then it's weird how we repeat it with our children. Cock blocking our baby daddies and are sitting back, allowing certain shit to go on where you don't step up as a man with your children. It's a cycle that keeps repeating. And the housing list open, who want to get on it, but you can't bring no man here. You can't have no man in the household. We just want the bitches. We just want the females. Only women and children. We don't want no men around. And I'll do y'all one better. If you go back to, like, I do Zooms on like the Willie Lynch letter and going even back to that slave mentality, right? When you look at what white slave owners talked about as strategies to control a group of niggas, a group of black motherfuckers, a group of slaves, what you do, you take the men and you motherfucking break them down in front of the female and the children. You take the biggest, you take the strongest, you murder them, you devalue them, you make them look crazy, and you get the women and the children to accept there's no value in the men. This breaks the family unit apart. And then watch this. That mother then teaches her offspring to live and be programmed and develop that mentality that men are not valuable. So the boys grow up to be broken men mentally, and they follow in the same footsteps that their mother and the fathers before them have done, from a place of low self-esteem and not valuing themselves, not understanding there is strength in operating like a pack. There is strength in understanding our roles as a family unit. There is strength. It is statistically proven that a human being grows up to be a better product when they have male and female guidance, not just female. It's statistically proven that the worst product in the human species comes from a female single-headed household. It is a fact. I stress this all the time, and for the life of me, women still can't receive it, that we're doing it wrong. You can't argue with it. Like, there's stuff that's opinion, or we can debate. There are things that are fact, that it is not debatable. When they look at large numbers of hundreds of thousands of people, the majority of the motherfuckers that was raised by just a female are the worst product. If it's a black female, it's even worse. If they're coming from poverty, it's even worse. If there was any sort of domestic violence or physical abuse, worse. These are just the facts. So if you understand the facts, you will realize, okay, fuck that. I don't give a fuck how I feel. I'm finna get my kids around male role models as long as female. You know what? Fuck how I feel about my baby daddy. Hey, come get these children. Because I understand it to be statistically proven that they turn out better mentally when they interact with both parts of them. When you do shit like leave the daddy name out the birth certificate, or teach the children the same way the slave masters taught us to not value the men, to break them the fuck down in front of us to where we see no value in them protecting or providing for us, and we look to the slave master, i.e. the government, for all of our needs rather than being self-sufficient. Ooh, watch it break a community the fuck down, and watch how we stay stuck in the same cycles, and then they never have to worry about us challenging or jeopardizing their power or wealth.
Yes, that happens a lot. If I could talk to this good, but I was saying, like, I feel like that happens a lot. Like you say, like the breaking down, like in public. I feel like that happens a lot, like at my job, like, cause I work like a lot of places. Sometimes I work like with a lot of women, but a lot of times, like, from a man's perspective, a lot of women don't understand, like, when they vocalize certain things about either like a black, because I'm a black man, like about a black man, about a man, they don't understand that, like, the man is listening. So he may not act, or, you know, he may not make a certain decision right then and there, but in his mind, he's made a decision. So, like, sometimes you hear things like, oh, yeah, men not shit, or they'll just tell their experiences with the men that they're dealing with. Yep. But they don't understand that the men that are in the room, maybe their manager, whatever, boss, whatever, or just even a friend or a son or a little kid, where they hear that. So it's just like, you may not understand, like, the power that what your words have, like, affected that person, but it manifests to a point where it's like the man will shut down and won't respond in a way that's conducive to the woman. Just for what, like, one word, one phrase you said around them. And it only takes one time. Yep,
I'm gonna tell y'all two things, right? One, men destroy things physically. Like when a man is mentally not whole, or he breaks things down physically. Like they are physically able to destroy things. Women vocally destroy things. We destroy things with our mouth. When you understand this, you'll get why I'm saying what I'm saying about life. The second thing is, when we look at the state of relationships, especially with raising children, and why we turned out to be the product that we are. When you look at co-parenting situations, like I said, you can't speak to me about co-parenting without going back to the situation in which the child was born. If you out here and you just sleeping around and then you make a decision, right, to have a child, without caring about the influence or the opinion of the other person that helped you make the offspring, you end up automatically taking on a higher level of responsibility. Most people don't want to accept that fact. So for example, if I get pregnant from Jay, we both understand we're fucking unprotected. We fucking unprotected because we're not good at this relationship shit. It feels like that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're not discussing mature shit. We're not protecting ourselves. I'm pregnant. I tell him, Jay, I'm pregnant. I'm finna have a baby. And so then we start to have a conversation about it. Jay starts to express things like, well, you know, before I had kids, I want to have myself together as a man. Like, I got other stuff I'm working on. I got all I'm hearing, right, is because I want a relationship. My mind done already told me, boom, boom, click, screws, already tightened on this idea. I want to have this baby. Jay finna be my baby daddy. He gonna help me take care of this baby. Cause like my grandma told me, if a nigga get you pregnant, that nigga better motherfucking pay where the fuck he lay. I already got my mind made up that Jay finna do some things over here according to how I want them done. Jay got his own ideas for his life and things that he choice, right? These my body, my choice. I don't give a fuck what Jay say. I'm gonna have a baby anyway. I don't give a fuck how it make Jay feel. I don't give a fuck what it do to Jay life. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to make this decision solely based on what I feel and I think, because it's my body, my choice. Then, ooh, the child get hit. I'm like, Jay, you need to help me. Jay, this your baby too. Jay, this your responsibility too. Now, when it was in the idea of making the decision to do this, fuck Jay. I don't give a fuck what Jay say. Bitch, I'll do the baby shower by my motherfucking self. I can take care of the kid by my motherfucking self. Fuck what Jay talking about. A bitch ain't finna tell me yeah, bitch, I took the $300 for the abortion, but I ain't get it. So what? Bitch, I'm having my baby. Now the baby get here, and now I done turned into a bitch that I want Jay to be all involved. Give me some money, Jay. Jay, the baby need Pampers. Jay, my son trying to play football. You need to pay up. You tell me how this makes sense. That you go and make a decision with no compassion or care for what the other person thinks or feels or wants for their life, and then you'll then pop out and feel like they're going to be compliant to your demands as you go about this. It makes no sense. But this is what the fuck we do. And then when you fast forward, when we get on the internet, nobody wants to talk about how their baby daddy actually sat with them and told them, I'm not ready for this. There are women that the nigga sat with them and said, I am not ready for this. And the girl said, I'ma do it anyway. And then when his behavior is reflective of somebody that wasn't ready for that, now you a victim. Oh, he a deadbeat. Oh my God. He don't help me handle nothing. Oh, my poor kids. I don't understand. Then you stalk his page and oh my God, how could he even be online posting or going anywhere? And he don't check on his kids. Oh, ma'am, the same children that he told you that he wasn't ready to have, the same responsibilities that you could tell in his character that he wasn't up for. Like, we're not having these adult conversations. We are just making emotional decisions to birth children. And ooh, don't be one of those females that I'm fucking Jay and Jay got peoples and I get pregnant on the side and Jay want me to abort the baby, but I have the baby because his girlfriend, she finna feel me, bitch. She finna know you got kids with her. Why the fuck I got to kill my baby? Then I have my baby and then I start saying, you better treat my kids the same way you treat them in-house kids, Jay. You better not be over there spending more time with them kids in the household that you live with and treat my son like he ain't a product of what the fuck he actually is. These are the real conversations that we skip over and we want to go straight to just talking about how we're a victim of some sort of having a baby situation. The minute we start talking about this is the minute that a lot of this shit will stop. The minute we start having more conversations about how a lot of women get pregnant and there is a question of paternity. And then later on, they act as though they don't understand why their co-parenting situation is the way that it is. If we just start being more realistic, these children can actually start getting what the fuck they need, regardless of what type of situation they were born into, because we will start being more real about why the fuck our life looks the way it looks. Do y'all understand what I'm explaining?
Yes. Dorothy?
Yes.
Go back, but I actually have a question about the whole masculine trait and how like easily he's given up, like but we have to like have them earn our value and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any like books that you recommend for like situations like that?
Yes, I'm gonna lace y'all up with several books that's gonna help you with a starting point for almost any of these areas that you realize, okay, I need major work.
Okay.
So I got you on that. Anybody else? Jay, you was about to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say like to add to your point, what you were saying, like we're dealing with men and women, and I feel like a lot of times women don't understand that men make a lot of decisions in silence. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times, a lot of decisions that we do make, it's out of resentment for something that happened like a long time ago, and we just like holding on to that. So it's like we will know that you will want something real bad, because I'm kind of guilty of this. Like I don't know, like this relationship, like I'm with somebody, they want this relationship so bad, but before I realized that like they weren't listening to my side. So now it's like I may feel like we working towards something, but then I'll take it away just out of resentment off of like either like an argument or just feeling as though like you didn't feel my side of the story, or you didn't. You know what I'm saying? We weren't able to talk about this, but you was controlling the situation the whole time. So it's like, by that, I know that's how you act. So it's like, I'm not going to give you what you want because you can't control me. You feel me? I feel like I can't lead.
Yep.
So from that, it's like, I know we're not going to leave each other alone. It's like, just keep figuring out what we're going to do and keep it pushing.
It's like a toxic circle.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something. A lot of men can't articulate it the way that Jay did. And a lot of it stems from going back to being raised by a single mother. A lot of men have resentment towards women in general based on how their mama handled them with their mind, not with their physical. She kept you dressed. She kept you fed. But the way that she handled you when you thought of things or when you didn't do things exactly her way, you grow up and you struggle to actually work together with a woman in a household to even lead. Because like he said, I make moves like I'm building towards something, but then just to make sure as a man, I'm not being handled how my mama used to handle me, I snatch it away to make sure I still got control of me in the end.
Destroyed, just cause like, and I feel like that happens a lot of times women don't understand that that's what's happening. It's just from the fact that like you not having that conversation with that man, it's like he feels as though he still got to have the power at the end. So he gonna snatch it away like as soon as you feel like you're getting close to it.
Yep.
Even if you agree with what y'all talking about, Jay, like even if you agree with she right, you still gonna snatch it away just because you feel some type of way.
Yes, it's but if you
see, I've grown. But like before, when I didn't realize my decision making and like where it was stemming from, that's what I was doing. And it was a cycle to where it was like I wasn't building good relationships, and I was like I would see people in relationships like, hey, like how is this happening? And I was realizing that a lot of times I wasn't communicating. I wasn't like I feel like I wasn't getting my side of the story out, or I wasn't being heard. So like and you end up ruining a relationship. Like you end up like, dang, like why does this keep happening? You don't really know why, but you're like, oh, let me get another relationship. Like, dang, the same thing kind of happening. It's like it wasn't the other person, but I had to learn that through like experience. I didn't know that like right off.
Right, and I'm gonna tell you something. It doesn't.
That's crazy.
I'm gonna tell y'all something because I like what he's saying. It doesn't change unless you understand like how he's articulating what is happening and make a conscious effort. And I'm gonna tell y'all this, right? When we talk about like the effects of single mothering, because that's what we're describing right now. There are some people that they feel like, well, it sounds like you're saying it's all bad. I'm going to put it to y'all like this. Anybody that drinks alcohol, you know those sweet drinks, right? The ones that you don't taste the liquor, but you actually be getting drunk as fuck over time, right? There are the drinks that you take them and them bitch make your face ball up because you can taste the motherfucking liquor. Then there's those ones like wine coolers and shit, them drinks where the bartender make it up so good with that grenadine and shit, it feels sweet the entire way through. Ain't nothing wrong with single mothering. And it feels good. She cooking, she providing, she take us places, we doing this, my daddy ain't around, she providing, and you you don't realize over time, you have men that have only been taught how to do life by a female. So you got a full-grown adult male in a man's body that has the mental capacity of a woman. He drunk as fuck off the sweet drink from his mama. It is an awful thing. It is not something that is reflective of being positive for a man. Men need other men. And the smaller portion of the statistics that were raised in single mother households that turned out to be a good product, they end up getting in colleges or playing sports where they got around who?
Boys,
men. That's why they turned out better, because although their father wasn't around, their mother found substitutes on purpose or by accident that made up for that. So if you try to understand this concept, the whole single mothering shit in a household is like a sweet drink. Of course it feels good. I ain't drunk. Ain't nothing wrong. You don't taste it yet. Till hours later, you done had about 7 of them bitches and you wasted. Can't drive, can't walk, got fucked, don't know who fucked you. You're looking around, don't know how you got to where you at. Somebody done put some drugs in something, your purse gone, your wallet gone. You don't know what the fuck, creep the fuck up on you. This when you wake up and you realize, fuck, I'm 35 and I act like a bitch. I'm 37 and I'm around here. I don't know how as a man to just make decisions for myself, get with a woman and stand firm and lead and not get egotistical or in my feelings like a woman and react to things all because she's challenging whatever it is I'm trying to do. The stuff that we as women are complaining about in the dating pool, men got it from lack of father figures being around, and it goes back to what I said was happening in the late 60s and 70s, and this mentality that women are doing it correctly when they are not. If you're looking for some sort of way to make it be good, there is none.
I just want to add too that it's crazy that he mentioned that, because I feel like that's exactly what my ex did, and he kind of admitted it. Is that if we had some disagreement or if I made him feel some type of way that I was unaware of, he would pull back. He would like kind of take control or feel like he's taking something from me, and or like kind of neglects like emotional intimacy from me, and it made me feel terrible. And because of my low self-value, I felt like I was paralyzed and I couldn't leave, and I would stay, and I would just like feel neglected, but I would just keep staying. But he definitely did that. It's crazy that he mentioned that too, because he admitted that after like he like treated me a certain way for like a month or two, he kept up with it, and he was definitely in his emotions for a while. It took him a while to kind of come out with that.
Yeah, for me it was like ghosting. I guess that's what some girls tell me. It was like, you ghost or something. I was like, I don't even know what that means. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's just how I'm feeling. But it's like, you don't know you're doing it to somebody doing it to you. So when somebody did it to me, I was like, oh, like, I see how this can make somebody else feel. But you don't really realize it until, you know, you get that same treatment done to you. So when it happened to me, I kind of knew it wasn't good to do, but it's like, once you feel some type of way and somebody cuts you off, like they cut off like communication or whatever you feel like you're lacking because of like low self-esteem or whatever like that, it's like a drug and you just got that drug taken away from you. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it is difficult, and sometimes you only understand based off of like experience when it happened to you. But
Jay, all you're doing is trying to make the other person feel how you feel deeply inside. On the surface, you can't express it, but how you articulate it, you're just doing what the inner child or that deep inner part of you feels like it's being done, or how it's being done. There are a lot of, when we talk about just men, especially black men, there are a lot of black men that growing up, especially from their mother, their decision making was invalidated a lot. Like women, this is one of the things we don't realize. When you live in a household where, okay, mom's running everything, a lot of times your young son, most of the things that he does, it's not the way that you would do it. There's no man around to articulate this. So the boy gets fussed at a lot about how he's doing things incorrectly, or the mom will just move him out of the way and do it herself. not realizing that over time, you're programming a young man to, one, not be comfortable and confident about him making a decision to do something a certain way and following all the way through. But two, you're raising somebody who now needs some sort of validation for every decision or task that he's going to, act completely out or go through with. And we don't realize this. Like, men need to be around men so they can develop a space of making decisions and being okay with it being a mistake at times or a poor choice, and following through with correcting or moving forward past that. A lot of African American young males, they don't have that. And then you mix that with, I know how to react to situations emotionally, like I saw my mom do. And this is why, like y'all have heard me say before, when you see two young black boys get into it, what do they want to do when things get heated?
Shoot each other?
Kill each other.
Shoot, fight.
Yes. Yeah. Grown men that are used to conflict with men, like I had father figures around and coaches and people in the community, the barber, other people that my mom left me with often, that I know what it feels like to have a disagreement with a man and sort it out respectfully. It makes sense. But when I only know how to process my feelings like a woman, because the only conflict I ever was around was ones with women, because my household and my family unit was ran by mostly women. When I get into it with a man, my emotions rage like a female. And we know women, we go overboard often with feelings. What y'all seeing that's going on a lot now with the dating pool, it's a product of this. That's why it's so deadly. That's why when they go through prisons and they ask, what kind of household were you raised in? What kind of household were you? 80 to 90% of the prison system, when we just look at men, come from single mother-headed households. If you got prisons all across the United States, and when they do tallies, statistics in all the prisons, the majority of all the men at all the prisons come from single mother households. It's pretty obvious that we need to start letting some men raise these men and back the fuck away as women.
I think also as a woman, like not being around like a proper male figure too, it allows us not to really respect other men as well.
You don't know how to resolve conflict. Anna, it is a struggle. I counsel women on a daily basis where they get on a one-on-one with me and they explain, like, look, I know it's me, so I don't need you to tell me that. But I don't know how to deal with when he tries to correct me or he tries to communicate that I'm doing something incorrectly. I just get offensive. Like, it is triggering for me. They know it because, watch this, throughout their whole upbringing, the only gender they've ever had to take correction from is a female, right? So if all my life I only know what conflict feels like with a woman, when a man starts to correct me or say things to me or talk to me sternly, I feel like he's doing something to me, like I'm being attacked. Like, oh my God. And there are women that not just for relationships, they do one-on-ones with me and they can't even work at jobs, like Jay was saying, and take correction from a male boss. They in HR crying, saying the man did some shit to him and he's really just correcting her about her particular job task or something she's supposed to be doing. But the only thing that feels familiar and right to her is if a woman is correcting her, because all my upbringing, my mother sheltered me. Maybe she was molested or taken advantage of as a child, or my aunts or whatever. So they did this whole, you got to keep the kids away from the male adults. So all my upbringing, I was basically parented off of their trauma. And even when there were healthy male role models around, we wasn't allowed to be left with them. It's women with this warped mindset as grown adults. My baby daddy ain't changing my baby diaper. And it's because they was molested or their mama was molested or whoever raised them. And now they have this molestation complex that everybody molests everybody. So you could be a full-grown, healthy adult that as a male, has no type of pedophilia in you, and she gonna just deem you, nope, somebody touched on me, so they gonna touch on my child, so I'm just gonna keep my child only around me, they whole upbringing, and then boom, when they hit 19, 20, 21, and gotta go out in the world, all of it feels foreign dealing with men. And this is the thinking that we think makes sense. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's also not even just not being around men, it's also that talk from the women that we've heard in our lives, like, you know, how our mothers talked about our fathers, they shit, they're deadbeats, they're this. It's like, as like, I don't even know what it means. Like, I didn't even think men were good when I was young.
Yes, and
I thought they were all like that.
Right, and I'm gonna tell you something. Your mama needed therapy. My mama needed therapy. Most of the people on the internet, they fucking mammy need therapy. The bitch is delusional. The whole crazy. The motherfucker is not in tune with reality. Do you understand the world we live in? It's built on the backs of men, right? Women, we are valuable in these particular areas when it comes to birthing and giving life and nurturing and turning a house into a home. Men build infrastructure. Men lead every major industry in the fucking world that is of any value of our communities being ran. So when you grow up and you got this mentality that men aren't valuable, bitch, don't you need power lines and power going to your house? Ain't no women in masses running to those jobs. Don't you need your motherfucking plumbing to work when you shit in the toilet and it stink? Don't you want that shit to go down and run out your house? You know who laid the motherfucking pipes? You know who work at the sewage plants? You know who work at it by the masses, right? There may be some women sprinkled here or there. You know who build the buildings? You show me the majority of the construction industry in any state that's all women. There is none.
Yo, we I think need to not only recognize each of our roles, but respect them. And we don't respect each other's roles or see how important they are.
When you look, but this is the thing. At some point, right? Because we're talking about generational curses, and Jay, I'm gonna let you speak. You have to understand, at some point, you have to get out from under the shit you heard or you seen growing up and just look at the world, right? And this is not, because I teach this to my children. My youngest daughter is 10 years old and she understands it. The things that we don't want to do as women, who the fuck do you think are doing them? Like I said, go to your city sanitation plant and look at who's sorting and dumping the trash. There's not a bunch of females lined up to do that job. The interstate, when you get on the interstate or a highway and you drive on it, you would like for the road not to collapse, correct? The engineers and the people laying the concrete and putting the dynamics together for bridges and roads and men. When you drive across a bridge, you would like it not to fucking just drop off into the water. Tell me any one of y'all that knows somebody, I got $10,000 right now that you can actually call an underwater welder that's a female. An underwater welder is somebody that they weld like bridges and certain things that we need welded underwater. I ain't talking about nobody that weld out of water. A bitch that get in a diving suit with a welding fucking machine and go underwater where they have to be lowered down at a certain pace and weld bridges so them bitches don't collapse in the water so we can get from one city to the next that's separated by bodies of water. Name one. I got 10 bands right now. Y'all don't know none. But these are vital jobs in the world that none of y'all ain't ever thought about doing. And you don't even know nobody that ever thought about doing that. But yet we sit in these groups and we tell ourselves and we teach children that men aren't valuable. Who gonna do this shit if they don't? Who? I ain't never woke up and wanted to be a garbage truck driver. I ain't never woke up and said I want to work at the water sanitation plant and make sure that things don't get put in our water. I ain't never woke up and said I want to be an engineer and design dams. I ain't never woke up and said I want to do car mechanic work and redesign engines and things like. Never. And the majority of y'all females ain't neither, but you want that motherfucking car work when you get in it. You want the bridge to stay up when you drive over it. You want your trash picked up when you put that shit by the side of the road. You want the water to get hot when you turn it on. You want the hot water heater to work. What bitch you know works somewhere where they make hot water heaters? Fuck out of here. If you look around at the world, you will realize, okay, women are very valuable, but anybody that's trying to convince me that men aren't, bitch, you're smoking crack. You got to be. Heroin, you're on fentanyl, something wrong with you. The point is we have to start understanding, let me be accountable for the things that I need to improve within me so I can improve my interaction with the opposite sex because we are both equally valuable. All this whole, we're the prize. No, they're the prize. Bitch, we both are. If you understand how the world works, it's necessary for both. Anybody got any questions on what I'm explaining? Anything they want to add? Jay, you was going to say something.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, like, I really like the point of you were saying, like, working together, like, relationship with just working with, like, men and women, like, together, because that's where I'm at now is, like, like now I'm in a position like where I'm with like I'm around like high earner men, like I'm around them, like it's really competitive, and it's like when dealing with those type of environments, you got to step up or you get stumped on. Like it's kind of like that. So it's like I'm learning that like the relationships I build with people is important, and it's like I feel like a lot of times people like younger men may not understand that like. In order to get into those rooms, you have to be accepted into those rooms. It's not like you can just knock on the door and you just in there. It's like, no, they got what you bring to the table, how much money you making, what car you drive, are you married, are you not married? It's like, it's real in your face, like they know the details. And it's like at the same time, I think sometimes women, they don't understand the power that they have too, is because a lot of times as a man, naturally, you would try to like kind of bust down doors. But a lot of times with women, is like with the alliances, like forming alliances, being able to talk to each other and like having that communication aspect, or even whether it's like negative or positive, it can impact somebody's like viewpoint of you. Like I'm learning all that through like the workplace. Like you don't understand, like your reputation can be damaged just based off of a rumor. And like shit like that, and you have to work harder for your rest of life for promotion that you just missed out on off of something that might not even be true. So it's like, now I'm like, I'm learning, I gotta step. Like when I step, I gotta go, like I gotta compete with men. I got that aspect, like, you know, they high earners. I'm trying to, you know, compete, make sure I'm in my place. But at the same time, it's like I still gotta know how to not be standoffish or not be to the point where it's like nobody don't want to talk to me because they feel as though they're not comfortable. You know what I mean? Or I'm not as social. So it's like it's a lot of aspects that come into it, and it's like you're not taught that, especially if you like. You are around like men's situations, or even like if you're just in like women's situations, it's like you have to have a mix, or it's like your life is going to be not as good, or your earning potential is going to be as good.
No, 100%. You have to be, and this is why this is so important. This is why I started to zoom off talking about childhood. When you are not taught how to maintain relationships, watch this, maintain them. You don't know how to manage resources when you get older. People are a part of this thing called resources. There are a lot of things, like Jay's saying, with jobs, promotions, opportunities, even information that you can't get unless you know the right people or get in the right rooms, right? And a lot of your reputation, the things that you believe, the way that you carry yourself, your lack of knowledge on how to operate in rooms with men and women will land you in a place where you don't know it, but they're never going to give you the opportunity that you're trying to get until you become more self-aware. The idea is I need to get more aware of myself for me to be able to understand how to maneuver through life and how to build relationships. The problem is, I'll let you go. With male and female, we tend to look outside of ourselves first when things aren't going right. Like when life ain't looking how we want, or things we look to find something external to blame rather than going internal.